Hot take, but you cannot love anybody else until you love yourself. Complete bullshit. I am going to say this though. I will tell you, and we're going to debunk this right here and right now, but I'm going to tell you first, the most important relationship that you are ever going to have is the relationship with yourself. Now, I'm going to back up here because a lot of people always say you can't love anyone until you love yourself. Now, I get it. Okay, I get it. I understand where people are coming from with this. However, no, it just doesn't work because you can always be in a journey of self-love. I mean, I look at self-love as a journey, and as somebody who has been on their own journey of self-love, it doesn't end. There's no start date. Well, there might be a start date. You might be like, I'm starting the self-love journey, but there is no like, get off the train. You're in utopia. Everything's great. You've got like purple, pink clouds and the aroma is cotton candy, right? How amazing would that be? Oh, I love gummy bears, and it's like the ground's made of gummy bears, and you can eat the gummy bears. I mean, okay, all right, I know I'm digressing, but this is the truth. Self-love. Self-love is everything when it comes to dating and when it comes to relationships. But the truth is, you can still love somebody and still be working through your own self-love. However, depending on the relationship with yourself, it absolutely dictates the type of partners you pick, how you date, how you show up to dating, how you show up in relationships, how you show up after a breakup when you're single, whether you go and date again or whether you go immediately and date again. You don't have a dating problem. You have a self-love problem. And I'm going to say this. Well, let me back up first because today we're going to be going all into self-love and what that looks like for dating, what it looks like for relationships, how you can start to build in self-love, and also how self-love or lack of is hurting you seriously in relationships and dating. And then, of course, we're gonna talk about it, talking about coming and orgasms. I know, every time I say that, everyone's always like, oh my God, you said coming, you said orgasms, Carla. This is Carla turned on. Let's get fucking real. But what we're going to be talking about in our taco section is diving into masturbation. If we're on the topic of self-love, why wouldn't we go into masturbation today? So we're going to be talking the ins and outs of masturbation, the shame around masturbation. Is it actually healthy for you? When is it unhealthy for you? But first, welcome to Carla Turned On, where dating and relationships get real, sex gets talked about, and the BS gets left on red. Let's get turned on. I'm going to say this straight up. As somebody who used to not love themselves, and I thought I loved myself, you could have been like, Carla, do you love yourself? And I'd be like, absolutely, I love myself. Like, come on. Okay, the truth is that the self-love was somewhere deep inside me. I do believe that we all have self-love within. We have just learned to mute it. We have learned to turn it off, to isolate it in order to survive in life. And that can look like varying degrees of survival, all right? But sometimes we turn it off and we mute it because we're like, we need to just find anybody and anything that will love us back. And I'm feeling desperate and I'm feeling judged and I'm feeling like too much. And so I'm never going to meet somebody. So I just need to pick this person who I know, ooh, my gut's telling me they're not right. And I always say, don't turn red flags green. Don't paint red flags green. We're going to paint today. Don't paint red flags green. And you're just sitting there and you're like, oh my God. Like, I know it's not right, but I'm going to go for it. I'm going to be single otherwise forever. That's not coming from a place of self-love. That is coming from fear-based thinking. And that fear shut that self-love off and was like, no, you are not having a front seat. We're going to take a step back because you are trying to protect yourself in some kind of way here. Okay, let's be freaking real. That ain't protection. That voice thinks it is, but there's no way that that is actually protecting you. By choosing somebody to just settle down with who isn't right, that's not protection. And yes, I have worked with many clients who have struggled with self-love, who have been in unhealthy relationships because they thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to start over. I don't think I can do it. There's nobody left. I guess, I want to have kids. This is a big one. I want to have kids. I'm running out of time. I just need to pick anybody. Nobody's perfect. Oh, whatever. And that relationship is just not right for them. So they stay or they continue to go on dates with them and it just doesn't work out. So then it ends up ending in 3 months and they're like, oh, here I am again. The lack of self-love is like, you should just stop dating. It's not worth it. You're never going to meet anybody. Whew, okay. But that self-love is there. It is deep, I guarantee. But I need to make one thing very clear, which is what is self-love? Because I'm going to say right now, I am not coming from like, we went and got our massage, we got our nails done. I don't know. As a dude, you bought yourself that set of golf clubs you wanted. I know I'm stereotyping hardcore here. A lot of guys don't even play golf, but I don't know. I was just doing what's that called? I forgot the name of it. It's like where you're standing at like a golf range and they have food and I can't remember the name of it. And like everybody, it's like a golf driving range and then you like hit it into nets. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. I was just doing that the other day. So that's what came to mind. My husband and I, we've both never done it. We were going on a date and we were like, should we do this? You want to do it? Let's do it. Why not? And I have to say, the food was actually really good. Those mac and cheese bites, oh my God, chef's kiss. That was like the best mac and cheese bites I have ever had. And I am a mac and cheese bite girl. Just throwing that out there. But here we go again. Okay, so self-love is not the, oh, self-care, self-me, this is yes, whatever. No, I always say self-care and self-love got robbed with marketing, a billion-dollar industry that was like, oh, buy this. Just slap on the label self-love, slap on the label self-care. That is not what I'm talking about. When I look at self-love, it's how we talk to ourselves on a daily basis, how we show up for ourselves. And if we're really negative in our talking, do we go and seek help? Do we want to go explore that? Because it's really important to think about this here, that when you are lacking that self-love, that you are still showing up for you. And that can be really hard. It can be taking care of your health, taking care of your body, your mind, your spirit. All of those things look like self-love. Creating choices around what is best for you, looking out for your highest self versus just, I guess I'll just say yes to this friend who I don't really have a connection with or want to hang out with, but I feel bad. So I'm just going to like be there for them, even though they suck the life out of me. It's like, no, that's not self-love. That is trying to people please and make others happy. And the previous episode, we talk a lot about people pleasing codependency. So honestly, this episode is sort of like a continuation of that in its own respect. If you want to go check that episode out. Also, please, please, please. Honestly, it is just me and my girl, Carrie. We do this podcast together, the two of us. If you could please, if you have been listening or you're new here, please give us a review. 5 stars, please, preferably. That'd be really awesome. But that honestly helps bump us. It helps get the word out about the podcast. And I make it for people like you. So please, please, please give some love, support back. I would be really happy about that. But I'm going to say this right now. Self-love comes down to being able to appreciate the humanness in you. It's not about being perfect. It's about saying like, I know I'm imperfect. I'm showing up anyway. I know I'm imperfect, but I believe in myself. I know I'm imperfect, but I'm going to go after this. I know I'm imperfect, but I'm going to end this relationship because it's not serving me, even though I'm fucking terrified. I'm so scared about being single again, but I'm not going to let that negative voice keep me in something that's not right because I love myself. When I was ending my engagement not to the man I'm married to today, this is too different, okay? But I was engaged previously, and I do a whole episode on this also on infidelity that you can go back and check out. It's only a couple episodes back, but anyways, I was engaged and all of a sudden, infidelity came out, a bunch of red flags. I had no idea that this was happening. It was like a crescendo very quickly. Okay. These things came out of nowhere. And I had made a promise to myself as part of my self-love journey that I would never abandon myself again in a relationship. And so when I saw those red flags, I listened to my gut. I leaned in and I was like, I have to end this engagement. It's not okay. I love myself. And when I was ending that relationship, I told that person on the phone, because we were not together at that point. Listen to the whole story of why I was FaceTiming and not there. But I told that person, I love myself too much to marry somebody who is cheating and acting this way. And I have to say, like, that was so hard. That was so hard. But that was the self-love speaking. It was taking care of me. And then look, it led me into my amazing marriage today. Like, if I would have tried to make that work and I would have abandoned myself and not listened to the self-love piece there, I wouldn't be living the life I am today. I wouldn't have met my husband. That is terrifying to think. And I would go through all that craziness again to be where I am. because I never abandoned myself. I looked out for myself. And when you don't self abandon, whether that's just deciding to go on a second date or not with somebody, or deciding to get married to a person, maybe there's part of you that's terrified, but you're like, I love myself and I'm not going to self sabotage here. I want to turn this into something real for myself. It doesn't matter what scope. The goal is that you're not self-abandoning because you love yourself. You're leading with self-love. And when you are in this mess of battling with the self-love, right? Like I said, I believe we all have self-love within us. It's just we have learned to turn it off in different facets. We will seek validation in any other which way. I will tell you right now, I have a client and she has been dating. And before we started working together, she was really struggling with dating. She was having a very hard time with it. Okay. So she was feeling burned out by it. She was going on all these dates and she was like, Carla, it's a numbers game. Like I'm trying to go on all these dates, but it's not going well. And it's not right. But like, then I overstay and I go out with these people longer because I'm afraid that like, well, there's nobody great out there. I mean, she's telling herself all these things. And I don't fault her for telling herself these things because there's so much noise out there in society. Oh, you're not successful unless you're in a relationship. That's bullshit, right? I mean, we praise people for getting married, which is great. And I'm not against praising people for getting married. But why aren't we praising people for ending unhealthy relationships? Why aren't we praising people for taking their time with dating instead of just rushing into a relationship that's not right for them? It doesn't make sense, right? So the pressure is, oh, you're not married, you're a loser. Oh, you're not married, you got something wrong. Or you're not married, you're never going to get it. Okay? That don't get me started on that. But you get the point I'm making. So my client was really burned out. She was feeling all that pressure. And when we started working together, what I realized is she was not leading with self-love. She was leading with fear. And once we were able to get in there and start to actually create a dating strategy for herself that was around her and aligned around her versus like all the bullshit she's been reading or things that people have been telling her to do or all the like messaging from society of like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, and letting that fear driven dating take over, she was able to actually go on quality dates because dating is not a numbers game. Dating is about quality over quantity. And I will say that over and over and over again. Dating is not a numbers game. I hear it all the time. Yeah, dating's a numbers game. No, it's not, honey. It is not a numbers game. If dating were a numbers game, then people would be in relationships a lot quicker. The truth is, why would you go on 50 dates and only 2 of those people wanted intentional dating, but they just weren't right from you? Then boom, you just wasted your time. Now, I will say, okay, you never waste your time fully dating because going on dates, you learn something about yourself. But let's get freaking real. You're dating intentionally. You want to be in a relationship. That's going to be wasting your time. On the flip side, hey, real quick, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want dating support, don't forget to look in the notes below where you can learn all about my guides and how to work with me. And if you want to follow me on my socials, you can find me anywhere at I am Carla Romo. Let's get turned on. Okay, I'm going to use that example back to getting married. I have had clients who have lived a narrative of like, I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. And so therefore I don't have self-love. And so they self-abandon. They will end relationships prematurely. They're worried the shoe's going to drop. So they're like, I need to feel in control. I'm going to create something to make it terrible. I am not saying, right, that doesn't hurt or could harm somebody else in a relationship, but this is the where the self-love gets muted. It's all survival based. And so when you're able to get in there and go, wait a minute, I do want this. It's okay to step in the arena scary. It's okay to be shaking a little bit and to be like, oh my gosh, as everything checks out, it's okay to move forward to marry this person, but you deserve it to yourself. Because the narrative that person has told themselves is they're not worthy, they're not lovable. And as a result, they have been protecting themselves this whole time. And it's time to put the armor down. It's time to be able to say, I'm worthy, I can do this. Self-love is a lot about our mindset. It is so much about deconstructing this negative narrative that has played out for a very long time, that has been very terrible toward you. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, what do I do with it? What do I do with it? It's about reframing those negative thoughts so that you can finally show up as your best self in truly loving yourself on the journey. I will leave you with this. Self-love isn't about finding the perfect person. Perfect person doesn't exist, okay? That's a whole other podcast episode we could talk about there. The right person can exist, but there's no perfect person. No, that doesn't exist. However, I will say this, that being able to love yourself, being able to go on this journey with yourself isn't about relationship outcomes. It's not about getting the date, getting married, having the kid, not getting divorced or getting divorced. It is about showing up for you the entire time and never self-abandoning. I know, it ain't too sexy, but let's get into that taco section now that we're talking about the SEX word. Let's taco about it. Talking about coming and orgasms. And today we are going to be diving into masturbation. We are talking about self-love here, okay? And there is no shame in masturbation. First off, I'm just going to say this. Lots of people feel shame around masturbating, men and women. There are religious stuff that comes into play with this that shames you. There is society shaming you. There's a lot of shame. Let's just put that out there. There's a lot of shame. However, masturbation is healthy. Okay? It is actually healthy for you. If you have a problem where you are masturbating in terms of sex addiction and things like that, obviously that is different. And we are not addressing that right now. We're not talking about sex addiction today. We are talking about healthy basis for masturbation. And when I say healthy, there is no perfect normal. Some people want to masturbate daily. I have heard sex educators say, have an orgasm a day. This is for women. This is for men, that can be healthy, but maybe not everybody wants to have an orgasm a day or has time for that. They're like, damn, Carla, how does somebody make time for that? I'm busy overdoing X, Y, and Z, right? However, I will say this, you have to decide for yourself of your own personal pleasure and your own needs of what works for you. Now, maybe you're also like, oh, Carla, like, masturbating, like that feels uncomfortable. Well, here's the deal. Masturbation equals connection when it comes to yourself and when it comes to sex with someone else. So this is the key. When you masturbate, you actually learn about your own preferences sexually, what you like, what you don't like. It is important to explore that, especially when you're sexual with somebody else. You can then voice, hey, I like this, or I don't like this, or hey, let's try this out. You can talk to the other person about it. People always look at sex as like, oh, how do we improve sex? How do we improve sex? But I actually say, take a step back and look at yourself sexually and have the sexual relationship within. What did I say earlier? The most important relationship you're ever going to have is the relationship with yourself. And so when you are having sex, right? It's not just about the relationship with sex. It's the relationship with yourself. That's where it starts. And if you feel some kind of shame around masturbation or shame around sex or asking for your needs to be met, I guarantee that's not just coming up sexually. That probably is stemming in other areas of your life. So you can work on asking for your needs in different areas, and that might help you when it comes to sex, asking for your needs to be met. It might make it still feel uncomfortable. All right, sex is vulnerable, but it at least for you gives you a voice on what you want and what you don't want. You also have to remember that shame is taught. Okay? There is nothing shameful around sex. There is nothing shameful around pleasure. I'm going to use a perfect example the other day. I have a client and he was talking with me about somebody he had gone on a date with. And he had said, well, I think she probably has had, some sexual partners and things like that just by the way that they were having a conversation with sex. And he goes, but there's nothing wrong with that. And I thought to myself, yes, this is a healthy minded individual who sees somebody, okay, of course, somebody's going to absolutely have a past sexually, or maybe they don't. Maybe they haven't explored sexually. Either way, nobody is better than anybody else. It is taught. You are taught that there is shame. There's something wrong with you if you explore your sexuality. There's nothing wrong with you. Sex, I always like to say, you eat, you drink, you poop, and you pee. That is being human. And also part of being human that isn't talked enough about is having sex. Yeah, that is a huge part of being human. And I think we forget that. We almost all act like nobody's doing it, right? Like society likes to shame us of like, we're not going to talk about that right now, or we're going to act like it doesn't exist. Or if you're having any problems or issues with sex or masturbating, that it's a little, it's a little embarrassing to talk about. And this is something that I talk a lot about in my sex guide. I have the sex guide that every dater needs. It's called No Filter. You can find that in the show notes if you're interested. Or if you want to work with me one-on-one, you can look in the show notes or go to carlaromo.com and apply there with an Ask Me Anything or one-on-one coaching, you name it. But I will tell you right now that when I am working with clients, a lot of times there's so much shame that comes up around sex. They start to feel uncomfortable. And I always say, I always voice, you share as much or as little as you feel comfortable. This session is for them. It is not about me at all. It is about what they need support on. And sometimes they do need more support, but they're not ready to talk about that yet. Or sometimes they have to understand and learn that I'm not going to sit there and shame them. I don't care how many sexual partners you've had, how many STIs you've had. I don't care about those types of things. What I care about is helping clients lead from a place of feeling confident in themselves. And this, again, is where masturbation plays into it. If you want to be pleasured by somebody else, how are you going to know what to ask for? Nobody's a mind reader, okay? Especially in the bedroom. And so it's important for you to explore that and be comfortable with your sexuality within yourself, within the relationship, and then to be able to express it to someone else. If you're feeling disconnected or uncomfortable when it comes to sex or masturbation, that's deeper than just sex itself. That comes a lot down to our self-worth and our self-love and what we believe we need and what we don't need for ourselves. You don't build self-love by just thinking different. You build it by how you show up. And most people do not know how to do that alone. So I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to end it. The most important relationship you'll ever have is that fucking relationship with yourself. Loved this episode? Rate it 5 stars, hit that subscribe button, baby, and leave a review. Do you want to work with me? Grab my dating courses, apply for my coaching at carlaromo.com or find it all in the show notes, and give me a little follow at I am Carla Romo on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Catch you next time and stay tuned. Carla Turned On is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is not a substitute for therapy. For professional support, please reach out to a licensed mental health provider.